Hello fellow human, hope you guys have a great day and let's read some r/entitled parent stories. To the first one. Mom expects me to let her and her kid hang out in my house when I'm about to leave. This all happened during the Texas power outages. My whole street had lost power and I was getting ready to head to my uncle's house because he had electricity. Not even kidding, 2 minutes before I was about to leave, I get a knock at the door. I go to answer it, and I see my neighbor who lives in the house behind me. We'll call her Big Bertha with her kid. I say, hey, and ask what is going on. Big Bertha tells me that they had family occupying their house and they needed a place to stay because it was too full. I said to them, I'm sorry, I'm leaving myself. I won't be able to let you guys stay. Keep in mind that I barely even know these people. She responds with the most entitled statement ever. So, you're going to be the reason we freeze? Selfish! I was honestly in shock. I didn't know what to do. I was just expecting for her to just accept it and be on her way. I said, I'm sorry, and went to close the door. As it was closing, I heard her say, ouch! I turned around to see she put her foot between the door so it wouldn't close. She then opened it back up and stepped into my house, yanking her kid with her. Looking at me and she says, we're not leaving. Like, what? What do you mean you're not leaving? I didn't know what to think. This fool was acting like she was the dictator of r/weekly dictator or something. At this point, I knew she was too stubborn to be convinced. I'd have to trick her. What I did was I said, here, come with me. I'll get you the spare key to my house so you can access it while I'm gone. It's out in the front. I grabbed my bags and had them follow me outside. As soon as the door closed, I locked it, ran to my car, and sped out of my driveway. I nearly ran over Big Bertha because she thought she could stop me by standing in the middle of the road, but I swerved onto someone's lawn. When I got to my uncle's, I realized I forgot my phone, but it turned out alright because I didn't really need it anyways. But my gosh, that lady was insane. I haven't seen her since that incident. Wow, she's lucky you're calm in that situation. Forcing your way into someone's house is a good way to get yourself hurt in Texas. The second story. Apparently saying that I have no hair extensions was the wrong answer. So this happened yesterday at work, and a little fact that will be important later is that I have very thick hair. My mom likes to joke saying that I can tie down chips whenever I have it in a plate. Anyways, I was working last night and I served a lady and her family their food. She didn't look like a typical Karen, but I felt there was something off about her. Her smile looked too forced, and her voice dripped sugar when she spoke to me. Thank you, and I love your hair by the way. You have to tell me who did your extensions. It honestly took me a second to process that part. Me, thanks, but I don't have any extensions in my hair. It's just really thick. Oh no, you don't. No one's hair is that thick. Me, I'm sorry, but this is my natural hair. I swear I saw her eyes twitch slightly as she continued smiling. I turned to walk away when I felt a really sharp tug on my head. I yelped in pain and turned around to see that M was trying to rip out my extensions. Oh, don't lie to me, you little tramp. No one's hair is that thick. Don't you dare lie to me. Tell me you're wrong. This lasted for about 10 seconds when her husband pulled her off of me and made her sit down. I hurried away about to cry and grabbed one of my managers and told him what had happened. I went upstairs and from what I heard later on, my manager kicked them all out and banned M from the restaurant and I got to sit upstairs for 1.5 hours. My head is still a little sore, but I definitely won't forget that encounter. Wow, that is just awful. That woman is definitely nuts. The third story. Entitled Mom Gets Mad in the Men's Change Room. Context. I'm a pretty avid swimmer and I've been looking forward to getting back to the pool now that the restrictions are loosening up where I am. At the moment, they make everyone enter the pool by going through the family change room. And then you exit through the men's or women's change room. They have staggered the swim end times, so there's not too many people in the change rooms at once. Well, on this particular day, the kids' swim lessons ended about 15 minutes before my open swim time finished. I suppose since there was only kids in the change room, the entitled mother decided to go into the men's change room with her son after the swim was over. I suppose she lost track of time because 15 minutes later, myself, a couple of other men entered the change room. Nobody really said anything, and I didn't really think of anything of it since I figured she'd be long gone by the time I get back from the showers. Well, I come back from the shower, wrapped in a towel, and she's still there helping out her son. They happen to be right next to my locker, so I decided, whatever, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this, plus I gotta get going. So, as normal, I take off my towel and start drying off when I hear a loud gasp, and this is how the conversation goes. Oh my god, seriously? Can't you see that I'm right here? Me, what? I don't want to see your man part. Me, this is the men's locker room. I'm doing you a favor by not saying anything. Well, the family change room is closed, so you need to be respectful of the moms that need to come in here. Me, well, why not take him to the woman's change room? Well, he's above the age of being allowed in the woman's. Me, well, aren't you above the age being allowed in the men's? Pure rage. I'm his mom. Now please cover up. At this point, I decide to just ignore her and keep doing my own things while she keeps giving me the dirty looks the whole time. And on her way out, she says, next time, I'm gonna report you to the staff. Okay, crazy lady. Okay. If he's above the age where he's allowed in the woman's room, it's because the kids that age are expected to be able to change without their mommy's help. The fourth story. Clearly disabled person falls over. Better call the cops on him. Me again. And for once, it involves a family member dealing with an entitled parent instead of being one. I figured I'd share since I just got home from this happening. A bit of context. Due to a brain injury a few years back, my father's motor skill haven't been the greatest. He can't operate machinery and his memory is awful. He can usually walk around fine if wobbly on most days, but when he's having a bad day, he needs the help of a cane or a walker. Even then, he can be pretty prone to falling over. No biggie and no ambulance needed, as long as he doesn't hit his head, and he can easily get back up with help. So, he's with me, as we're on a grocery run since he insists on paying. I'm carting our stuff back to the car, and he's hobbling alongside me with his cane, as it's a bit of an off day for him. I begin loading our stuff into the car when Dad takes a bit of tumble. As I go over to help my dad stand, I nearly jump out of my skin as this nearby woman with kids sees us and practically screams. I kinda shoot her a "what the duck lady" look while I'm helping him up, but this woman is just calling at me and whispering into her phone. I help my dad into the car so he can sit and catch his breath. While I finished putting up my groceries, I heard someone call out to me. I turned to see a police officer. Reddit, do you want to know what this Karen's reaction was to seeing a 50-something years old man with a cane falling over was? Apparently, other than screaming, it was to call the cops and report him for public drunkenness. I didn't even know that was a thing until it was explained to me, but apparently, in my state, it's a Class C misdemeanor and you can get fined up to $500. A few questions and a breathalyzer test cleared my dad's name, and we got to go home without incident, and I never did find out what happened to that nutcase of a woman. But what kind of butt-backwards worldview do you need to have in order to look at an elderly person who's fallen over, see that they have a cane, and think, ew, a drunkard and hazard to polite society? I'm willing to bet that Karen has been charged with the same thing she tried to report your dad for. On to the fifth story. Entitled parents asked me to reevaluate whether or not I want to keep my job, so I did. I, 19 years old female, work for my neighbors as a full-time nanny for their baby little girl, Lena, 1 year old female. They have two other daughters, Haley, 8 years old, and Taya, 11 years old, but I've been specifically instructed by their parents that I'm only there for Lena, not them. I wear my mask entire workday, and so do the other two girls and parents. We are very aware and safe. So this past Friday, I was getting up for work and received a text from my boss, I'll call her Rachel, detailing that she and her husband would be both gone from the house until noon, and I was to skip my 11 a.m. break in order to make sure that the two girls would be supervised. I had just woken up, so I said okay, and went to make my coffee. I have a hard time saying no on the spot, and it takes me a minute to think through some things, lol. When Lena went down for her nap that morning, I texted both bosses and told them that I completely understood that there were going to be appointments they had or things they needed to do. But I would like to be asked if taking on 3 children and skipping my break is something I'm willing to do rather than told. I also told him that my hourly for all 3 girls is $20 compared to the $15 I make watching Lena alone, and that I would like to be paid as such. I received a long text from their mom around 15 minutes later that basically said they felt as though they had made several exceptions where my pay is concerned and that she was perturbed by my message. She then went on to detail 3 different instances in which they had shown me kindness and felt as though I should have made an exception. To top it off, she asked me to reevaluate over the next 2-week period whether or not I wanted to keep my job. I was really taken aback by this message, so I called my mom and asked her what she thought. My mom was pissed. She told me that, pre-apocalypse, she could drive Haley and Taya to the school in the morning along with my sister and would pick them up as well in the afternoon. I guess there was plenty of times my bosses assumed my mom would babysit after school with minimal heads up and leave. My mom had to tell them to stop or pay her for her time. I have also kind of felt they were dumping all their kids on me, especially because I serve as unpaid supervision for the 2 eldest girls due to the fact that both parents work in isolated parts of the home. I constructed my own message back and detailed my own 5-point list of kindness that I had shown the family, including last summer when I worked the same job I work now for $5 an hour to help out when the mom had to take on a summer job. I have also recently agreed to take on an extra 10 hours weekly with no increase in pay to show my appreciation for this job. I then told her that I didn't understand how any of what she said had to do with the fact that I need to be asked in advance to take care of all 3 girls. I told her I was unsure of what I had said that was deserving of a response asking me to reconsider if I wanted to keep my job. I put in my 2 weeks and told her that I did not appreciate my job stability being threatened over something so minimal to use this time to find alternative childcare and that we would part as friendly neighbors. They pretty much freaked out, and I don't think Rachel was actually expecting me to quit. She told me I had stressed her out by texting her in the first place, and that she was just trying to make sure I was being properly paid, because I had made it sound like they were shortchanging me. I told her they were, and she shouldn't have threatened me. She looked at the floor and her poor husband was trying to do so much damage control. It was pretty awkward, lol. I do love the little one I babysit, but this has been such a mentally and physically taxing job as it is. I guess this was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. This is kind of a bittersweet malicious compliance. I'm gonna miss her, but not how tired I am, lol. And I definitely won't miss being taken advantage of. If you made it down here, thanks. I know it's not super juicy, but standing up for myself felt like a small victory. Smiley face. Well, you deserve a stable job, not one that threatens your livelihood. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys next time.